boys and girls, Mrs. Castle here, and this week for our missionary story we are going to be learning about Pete Menjares. Pete Menjares is our missionary story. Now, boys and girls, when we teach the missionary stories, we are teaching about real people and their lives. So this is about Pete Menjares this week. Pete Menjares, when he was 10 years old, would go to the roof of his small house in Pico Rivera, Los Angeles, and dream. He loved to go up there and watch the clouds go by and dream of faraway places. He remembered when his grandfather took him to Yosemite National Park, and he was remembering the tall peaks. This is where he would go to often dream of places he wanted to go. But there is one dream Pete wanted more than anything, and that was to have a dad. You see, Pete's dad was shot and killed when he was 1 year old. And that's all he wanted was a dad. Pete's mom had to work very hard to earn money for the family. Pete had to help also. He had to help take care of his sisters and younger brother, and he had to do chores around the house. Pete loved to go to his great-grandfather Pedro's barbershop. There, Pete would also help because he knew his great-grandfather Pedro loved him. When Pete's mom was around, she was very strict. So Pete often would go out and just take care of himself so he wouldn't have to be at home. Well, boys and girls, that got him into trouble. You see, there are two paths we can take in life. Paths, the right path and the wrong path. And by the time Pete was in 5th grade, he started to go down the wrong path. He would skip school, and he wasn't doing very well in school. He got poor grades because he wasn't there. He started to skip going to class. Pete didn't know that God had a plan for his life. He didn't know very much about God at all. Well, by the time Pete entered into middle school, he started to watch the neighborhood boys in his neighborhood, and he started to do wrong things with them. He started to watch them party and drink alcohol, and he started to imitate those things as well. In fact, it came to the point where one day one of his friends said, "Hey Pete, try this." And he took a gasoline-soaked rag and he sniffed it, and it got him high. And Pete started to use drugs and make other terrible choices. But Pete realized that this didn't make him feel good. It hurt his brain, and it was bad for his nerves, and it was just bad for his body. Boys and girls, if you know somebody who is also using drugs or sniffing chemicals or drinking alcohol, what can you do for them? Well, you can tell an appropriate adult who can try to help them, and you can also pray for them. Now, do you think Pete continued to make bad choices? You'll have to tune in tomorrow to find out. So come back tomorrow, tune in, we'll see you then.